Hey everyone, Amari Records here, and today we're going to be doing a tier list of 2024 hip hop albums so far. So, obviously, this isn't everything. It is currently July, and we're still waiting on some major albums like ASAP Rocky's Don't Be Dumb, Logic's Ultra 85, and Big Sean's new one, which the release date just got announced today. So, yeah, let's jump right into this. Now, I haven't heard everything from this year. Like, that's crazy. I don't know anyone who's heard everything. I don't even think Fantano's heard everything. But yeah, I think we got like 19 albums to rank today. So let's get into this. And also, there's some albums that I've heard that aren't on this tier list for some reason, like Why Lord by No Worries, Anderson .Paak and Knowledge. That would rank very highly on this list. But yeah, let's just get right into this. Starting off with Insano by Kid Cudi. Now, I really enjoyed this album when it first came out, and I think there's some really big highlights on it, obviously. Like, you got your Blue Skies, you got your Get Off Me's, like, that Travis feature's great, and the back and forth between him and Cudi is refreshing to see. We haven't gotten that on any of their collabs. But I do think it's a slightly bloated. I'm not the biggest fan of the Yachty song on this one. I actually think the one on the Deluxe is better. Nitro Mega Deluxe, I think it's called. Like, Cudi's a crazy output this year. Like, props to him. But yeah, I think this is a B tier album. It's definitely solid. I really enjoy it. I think that's in A. I'd put it in B. I don't think it's in like the upper echelon, but it's a solid output from Cudi, and he made it with the intent of it being played live and having these like crazy tracks that'll go insane at a concert. So yeah, and it's really refreshing to see Cudi like in a happy mood. I'm happy for him. All right. Next up, American Dream by 21, released the same day as Insano, actually. Okay, I think The Elephant in the Room, Nina, easily my personal favorite song. That Travis feature is arguably the best Travis feature of all time. Debate me in the comments. I know some people are going to disagree with that. I know a couple people in real life who actually would disagree with me on that very heavily. But I think the Metro production was great throughout it. I love the song with Dirk. The intro, like the title track, great. But I think it's just some of the melodic cuts that weigh it down a bit. Yeah, I do think it's a solid album. I'd put it in the same tier as Insano, to be honest. It's not like topping my end of year list or anything, but it's a solid album nonetheless. Next up, Penalty of Leadership by Baldy James. Now, this is a serious album. It was recorded like right around that time Baldy got into a like potentially life-ending accident, like when he got shot. The backstory behind it is crazy, and it's just Baldy like reflecting on that incident. Like, the story behind the album is great in itself, and the music, oh my goodness. Nicholas Craven's production throughout it just pairs perfectly with Baldy and his performances. Baldy is giving you elite raps as always. The intro, Formal Invite, is probably my favorite song off this album. Just, it's flawlessly produced, flawlessly rapped, incredible. And then I really enjoy the song Soccer Mom as well. I love the production on that. I don't know why, something about it just really appeals to me. But yeah, overall, just phenomenal album. Is it one of like my top 3 of the year so far? Just misses it. So I'm going A tier because I do feel like it's maybe a little bit on the short side, but that's such a tiny nitpick, and maybe some of Baldy's flows get a little bit repetitive, which is like keeping it away from that really upper echelon. But there's such minor gripes that I could be putting it in S tier, but like, just in my opinion, there's a few albums that I prefer. Okay. Okay. The Lyrical Lemonade album. Now, this album was pretty bloated and just listen, all props to Cole Bennett, so love like the fact that a music video director was able to like grow his brand into having his own album. Amazing. Like, all love to him. But I just feel like some of the songs on here just, they don't do it for me. I did enjoy the one with Joey Badass. I enjoyed Doomsday Part 2, but I think like everyone can agree that like the highlight of this album was Doomsday Part 1. Hearing Juice and Corday go back and forth, that's an incredible track. But apart from those 3 I just listed, and I don't mind Guitar in My Room with Cudi either, but apart from those ones, I don't really think this album has much going for it. It's not like the worst thing I've ever heard, but I'm debating between D and F just because, like, it's not the worst album of the year. I'm just going to put it in D because there are some really high highs on it, like Doomsday Part 1. All right, Everybody Can't Go by Benny the Butcher. Now, this was a really highly anticipated album for me. Just hearing that the entire production was going to be handled by Alchemist and Hit Boy, two of my favorite producers ever, that was like, my expectations were so high. I mean, it did deliver on the most part, but I think I was expecting a little bit more. Don't get me wrong, you had some phenomenal tracks on here. Like the intro with Jermaine's Graduation, that Alchemist production. Stop. But that's the caliber of rapping and production like levels I was expecting throughout the whole album. You had Bron on there, which was such a good anthemic track from Benny. Reminded me of something off of Burden of Proof. Oh yeah. Then of course, TMVTL. Nah, do I even need to speak about it? Exactly. Like that song speaks for itself. If you haven't heard it, please go hear it. It's a really solid album. I just feel like there are some cuts that are just they're pretty standard for Benny. Like it's your standard Benny album for the most part. Like maybe a little bit above average, but when you've got albums like Tanner Talk 3, Tanner Talk 4, Burden of Proof in your catalog, like it's you got a pretty high bar to meet. So I think I'm gonna put this at B tier. I think it's on the level of Insano and American Dream. All right, next up, Vultures. This could be a pretty controversial statement. Like some pretty controversial takes. This album has not aged well for me. Like I think I was really caught up in the moment when it came out, just being like really happy. Let's go, new yay album. It's been 3 years, and I love Back to Me and that Freddie Gibbs verse. Freddie Gibbs absolutely ripped that. But I don't know. It's like I'm not really a big fan of the raunchy Kanye stuff. I'm not going back to this. Honestly, I haven't bumped Vultures in months. Maybe since March. I don't know. Like I'd go back to songs here and there, but it has not aged very well. I do think that the fact that we got a song with Timbaland and JPEG production with Cardi, Travis, Ye, and Ty on it, like I feel like that's kind of overlooked. That's crazy that song actually happened with Fuck Some. The JPEG production was pretty cool, hearing Kanye over it. But I don't know. I think I'm going to put it C. It's like, it just hasn't aged the best for me. Alrighty. The Lil Sims EP. I don't know why this is on here. It was cool hearing Simbi experiment and everything, but I don't know. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I don't really revisit it all that much. Like comparing it to last couple albums, I don't know. I'm gonna put it D. It is also I'm pretty sure it's just like a little EP. I don't know what it's doing in this tier list, but it was here and I've heard it, so I ranked it. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of that. Alright, next up, Yeat's album 2093. This was so bloated. This was such a bloated track list. I didn't mind the song with Lil Wayne, but like Wayne was reusing lines from Just in Time with JID, which I just crazy that he was basically reusing a feature on another feature. Yeah, just too bloated. I'm debating between D and F. Like it's not the worst thing I've ever heard. I didn't mind the intro off of it. But it's so bloated. I have to do. I'm sorry, yeah, I gotta put it in F. All right, French Montana, S tier, easy. No, get this all the way. Like this doesn't even deserve to be ranked. I didn't even fully listen to it. I couldn't finish this crap. The Jid feature was cool, but nothing for me. Okay, big contender here for the album of the year title. I know a lot of people have this already as their album of the year. Do I have it as mine? We're about to find out. And that is none other than Blue Lips by Schoolboy Q. Incredible album. Incredible. Like, please, if you somehow haven't heard it, do yourself a favor and listen to it. You were getting experimental gangster rap in 2024. Like, who else is doing that? You have these incredible cuts. Like, I'm sorry, I cannot sing this album's praises enough. It is a near flawless album. You've got your incredible production. Sorry, I'm saying incredible so much. You've got this amazing production from Al on Lost Times. You've got the decadent blues slides, which just sounds so luxury. And someone like Q, who you wouldn't expect to be this vulnerable on a track, he's talking about all this personal stuff on it, which is probably my favorite song on the album. Ohio with Freddie Gibbs, another great Freddie Gibbs feature for this year. Nunu, I feel like that's so underrated. Yearn as well. Like that was when that single came out, I was like, okay, we are in for a treat. Easy S tier album. Easily S tier. Top 3 of the year so far. Alrighty, We Don't Trust You. Now, this was a huge moment because I started my channel literally the time that this album had come out, which was crazy. So this is a very special album to me. Just the whole experience of listening to it for the first time as soon as it dropped, and then getting that surprise Kendrick feature, the Like That moment, everything. Oh my goodness, I love this album. I love it so much. But I feel like there's some songs that I'm not really visiting all that much anymore, like Princess Diana or something like an Ice Attack, which are not bad tracks or anything, but I'm just not really going back to them. But you have such high highs on this, such high highs with Like That, with We Don't Trust You, with Everyday Struggle, with Cinderella. Yeah, I think it's a very high A tier. I just can't put it in S tier because I feel like it's not on that level of a Blue Lips. Okay, next up, one of the most underrated projects of the year, Might Delete Later. I feel like people are overlooking it because of the whole 7-minute drill fiasco, which I feel like that's not fair to Cole and the body of work that he put out, because this is an amazing project. You're getting these hungry Cole raps that could have been found on the off season with something like a Crocodile Tears or Already 24 or a Pricey, just throughout the entire thing. Just flawless raps from Cole throughout it. You've got incredible features from Absol and Daylight, but sadly they get not completely overshadowed, but like Cole rips them on his verse on Pie, which is still one of the best songs of the year. And then, of course, I feel like the album's magnum opus, Tray the Truth in a Bee, is just a beautiful song about Cole not wanting to give into the pressures of people's expectations and just doing things for him. But again, you got a couple misses, like just that I'm personally not the biggest fan of. I don't think they're the worst songs in the world with HYB and Fever, but they kind of weigh it down a bit. So I'm going to have to put this album in A tier just for that. Alrighty. We Still Don't Trust You. Now, talk about Blow. I feel like if this album was just that bonus 7, like that little mixtape at the end with a couple of those more melodic tracks like a We Still Don't Trust You in there, or the Weekend tracks, this could be ranked really high. If they cut that down to like a 12-track album, oh my goodness, we would be having a different conversation. But you do have your highlight tracks on here, like a Red Leather, like a We Still Don't Trust You. And then, of course, I really enjoy the beat on Show of Hands, Streets Made Me a King. I think they're some of the standouts on this album, but yeah, I don't find myself revisiting most of the tracks on this too often. I gave it my fair share of listens, but I don't have a lot of reasons to revisit the entire track list again, so C tier. Okay, Slant Faced Killer by Conway the Machine. I really enjoyed this album for the first half. You had some standout tracks on there, like Vertino with Joey Badass. You had Milano Nights, which I love the production on that. And then the outro as well, Red Moon and Osaka, with that beautiful spoken word from Raekwon. I think, though, a lot of us were kind of hoping that Raekwon would get a full feature. And like, I love that Alchemist production on that track as well. But I feel like just towards the end of that track list, it kind of falls off a bit. I'd put it in. It's definitely better than the albums I've got in C tier, so we'll go B tier with that. Okay, here we go. This is a serious album for this year. Dark Times by Vince Staples. Perfect curation on Vince's part, like flawless. The way he sequenced it, just that bite-sized album. Every track doesn't overstay its welcome. You're getting insane raps on things like Étouffé or Black and Blue. I love Black and Blue, that like atmospheric production on it. And then the storytelling of Justin. Incredible album with Vince Staples' Dark Times. Easily one of my top 3 of the year. S tier without a doubt. Hardstone Psycho by Don Toliver. Now, I know a lot of my friends are actually really loving this album. One of them made the claim the other day that Don Toliver is a top 5 artist of the year so far, which I respect it, but I personally disagree with. I think it's a very, very solid album. You're getting standout tracks like Kryptonite, like Deep in the Water, like A Bandit, and then the 2 Travis songs are great. I really enjoyed hearing Travis in that more melodic bag on something like an Inside, and then Ice Age, he just slid over that beat. Yeah, I think this is also a B tier album. Okay, serious album again. Coming up, Samurai by Lupe Fiasco. Fun fact, I actually did a genius annotation on the song Bigfoot, and Ant from NFR read it out on their review, which was pretty cool. But yeah, this album, Lupe making it a tribute to Amy Winehouse. Like, who the fuck is doing that in 2024? A concept album like that creative. Like, obviously, we've got Eminem's, which we'll get to in a second. But yeah, incredible stuff from Lupe. That samurai intro where he's interpolating something Amy Winehouse actually said after listening to a Wu-Tang song like I Have These Little Battle Raps For You. I think the whole album is amazing, and the whole story that Lupe tells of if Amy Winehouse was a battle rapper, just insane creativity, insane raps throughout. Number one headband wearer is amazing. Yeah, I think this is an S tier album for the year. Now, we need to have a serious conversation about Baldy James in 2024 because Across the Tracks is just as good, if not better, than Penalty of Leadership. That title track, I love it so much. The intro of Terms and Conditions being the thing that we first heard, like that was the first single release, I knew we were in for a good start. How could you not? Conductor Williams' production paired with Baldy's performances, that's a match made in heaven. Like this, I don't know if I'd put it above something like a Price of Teen, China, or Bo Jackson, but I think other than Alchemist, Conductor is the best producer for Baldy to pair up with. This is an amazing project in every regard. I would have liked for it to have been a little bit longer, but again, I love these short track lists, these quick listens where it's just all fire, no filler. I'd say it's on the same tier as Penalty of Leadership, so we'll put it there. Alright, and that brings us to the final album of this year. That brings us to the latest album that this tier list has, which is none other than The Death of Slim Shady. Now, it's officially been 1 week since that album came out, and I've been listening to it non-stop for this past week. And I have to say it's grown on me so much. Marshall perfectly executed the concept of him and Slim Shady having this fight. Marshall's concept of using cancel culture to kill off Slim Shady. That's so creative and just such an interesting take on a way to get rid of the character using current events. Eminem is proving to be the best technical rapper in the game at the moment as well. Like, insane lyrics. Just look at his verse on Fuel with the assonance he used on that final verse. I'm not the biggest fan of a song like Bad One, but that's one song out of like 19. But there's like, 3 skits? So one song out of 16. Like, that's not the biggest deal for me. I loved everything else on the album. Lucifer, that Dre production, that's incredible. Yeah, I think, call me a stan, but I have to put this in S tier. Hey, and Cole's my other favorite rapper. Cole and Kendrick are my other favorite rappers, but I didn't put Might Delete Later in S tier, so come on. Anyways, that is my 2024 hip-hop album tier list so far. We'll do another one of these at the end of the year when we get the rest of the albums, but I think it's been a great year for the genre so far. It might be the best of the decade. We'll just have to see how the rest of the year goes. But yeah, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing and like the video if you enjoyed, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any other videos. And sorry, but I think the weekly uploads are going to end. It's going to go back to how it used to be when I just upload when I get time, because I'm going back to uni on Monday. Sorry, guys. Anyway, peace out. See you next time. Bye.